So guys, we're out here on the Yamaha Generation 3 MT09, and today we're going to be going for a ride, and I'm going to have a little chat about how it is. I've heard great things. I used to have the previous generation, so let's go. Right then, so one thing I learned straight away on this one that's different to the previous generation is you've got the up and down quick shift, and you've got a much different display. As you can see on the dash, it looks much more modern than the previous gen. The Gen 2 dash was definitely dated. This is much better. Quite like the look of it as well. So let's go. So straight away what I can say is that engine, I just really like the engine in these bikes. Having ridden this and obviously my new MT10, the power on this is much more manageable. You can really get stuck into the throttle, and it doesn't feel as if the front end's gonna come up on you, or as if you're about to enter complete warp mode, which is how it feels sometimes on the MT10. It just feels so fast that you don't have time to think. One of the main things actually, after just getting back on this and riding it for 10-15 minutes, I've noticed is that you have a lot more time to think on this, which kind of makes it, if I dare say it, a little bit more enjoyable, because you're not so uptight all the time. With the MT10 I do find, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy riding it, it's a fantastic bike, but you are always quite focused when you're riding it, because when you're riding it fast, because it can, well, I'm sure it would spit you out if you made a mistake riding. A lot of it could be to do with the weight of the bike, you know. The weight of the MT10 is, I think they're over 210 kilos now. I don't actually know what the weight of this is, but even just turning it into a corner, straight away I can tell it feels a lot lighter, a lot more nimble on smaller roads. The front end just falls in. So yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to actually hit some roads a bit faster so we can properly get a feel for the suspension in the corners, because I've heard that it has been much improved since the previous gen, which I think was well known. It was one of the downfalls with the previous generation MT09. The suspension was not good, and I hope that they have really improved the suspension on this. It feels really stable and quite comfortable under throttle, which is quite nice. I don't know if they've changed the riding position between this and the last MT09, but it feels a little bit lower. I don't know whether it's the rear sets are slightly higher or the front end is slightly lower than the previous gen, but my one felt like it was quite up high, like I was riding it really upright, almost like a supermoto. This feels a little bit more nosy, which might actually help the suspension quite a bit, and the handling, which might be why or how they've improved it quite a bit. So yeah, we'll just get around these cars. So I'm just out on a test ride from Yamaha in Hemel. They kindly just said, yep, go out on the bike, no problems. It's bank holiday weekend here in England, and I thought there wouldn't be a chance in hell I'd be able to get out on a bike today, but I called them up and they said, yeah, just come whenever. So I'm surprised that I managed to get out on it, but glad at the same time. So the downshifter there is a bit doesn't want to go when I'm in the throttle slightly. some nice cars in there. Yeah, I mean, straight away I can tell you the suspension's definitely been improved on this to the previous gen. Just even steering it into those corners there, I just felt like the bike so... First of all, it feels so flickable compared to the MT10. So it just feels like you can just turn the bike over, which is a really nice feeling, because it's what you want when you're on country roads like this. I have to say the MT10 does sometimes, this is the latest generation one, feel a little bit like you have to manhandle it. Well, I mean, it is a lot heavier, so maybe not manhandle it, but it just feels a bit slower to turn over. This just feels lovely in the corners. I have to say, I think they have massively improved that area on the bike, and it feels really quick. It feels quick enough. So yeah, I won't go into detail with the spec and stuff because I don't actually know enough about these bikes, the latest generations. I haven't researched them properly. I just wanted to come out and get a feel for how they rode and see how they compare to the latest generation MT10. Kind of from a fun factor point of view, and how user-friendly they are on English roads, because English roads aren't always the best. I'd say I'm a lot more confident on this in terms of getting on the throttle anyway, and it does feel really good fun in the corners. Yeah, this feels like a fun bike. I mean, the old one was, and I do miss it a lot, but this feels like a really fun bike to ride. I'm actually really enjoying this. Over here, oh, it feels so much lighter than the, the MT10. I suppose it is. So yeah, thumbs up from me for the Generation 3 MT09. Really enjoy it. The brakes feel pretty good. I don't know if they're exactly the same brakes as the previous gen, but they feel good. The suspension feels great, handles really well, loads of fun, great engine. The stand exhaust on these is really loud as well. Yeah, I would I'd recommend going and test riding one. The only thing is I'm unsure on, as I am with the MT10, is the looks. I'm not sure if Yamaha have got it right with the styling on the front ends, but again, it all comes down to opinion. I just like to give you my thoughts on how it rides. Third gear on this from second, it just goes. If you were on B roads with your mates on this bike, there is no reason why you would not be able to keep up with a like an R1 or anything else on the roads. It would all come down to how you are as a rider, but when this thing goes from second gear to third gear, it just punches you forwards again, and it feels great. It feels so much fun. Oh, I'm just having the best day riding this, and I can see why when I made one of my previous videos I compared the new MT10 to the old MT09, and a lot of people, I say a lot of people, quite a few people in the comments were saying go ride the new Gen 3 and see what you think, because it's much improved, and it is. They were right, and I had a feeling they would be as well. And this bike is great. I can see why if you own one you're probably enjoying it so much. It is a matter of opinion, but I don't like the looks on these really at all. Don't really like the looks on the MT10 I've got, but once you're on them and you're in the saddle, that you forget about all that. It's just about being out on the bike in the elements, having a great time, and just forgetting everything else in life, just having a great time. That's why motorbikes are so much fun. So guys, we're back at Yamaha after being out on the MT09. It was great fun. Had a really good day. It was just as fun, if not as fun, as the Yamaha MT10. Power's a lot more usable on the roads. On A roads, the bike's more flickable in the corners. So just depends what you like, really. But yeah, both great bikes. So that's it from me. See you later.